Hello everyone, welcome back to RR Corporates. Now we are going to discuss in detail on section 135 of Companies Act 2013. Now I will take you to the office and website of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I will share you. We will go to Google, here mca.gov.in. This is the MCA website. Here we have to click Act. In that Acts, you will get Companies Act 2013. There, here we have to type section 135. This is a talks about corporate social responsibility. Section 135, corporate social responsibility. Click here. This is what section 135 of Companies Act 2013. Corporate social responsibility. Notification dated 1/4/2014. So, I will explain complete section. Subsection 1 of section 135 says, every company starts with every company having a net worth of rupees 500 crore. Company having a net worth of rupees 500 crore or turnover of rupees 1000 crore or net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during immediately preceding financial year shall constitute a CSR committee of the board constituting of 3 or more directors, out of which at least one director shall be an independent director. What section says? The eligibility, so the triggering, if the company achieves 500 crore rupees net worth or turnover 1000 crore or 2 crore rupees of net profits during the immediate preceding year, then this is the company has to spend CSR amount. Company has to constitute CSR committee with the board of directors. Minimum directors 3 or more, out of which at least one independent director. Provided that this provision is given, if the private company, it is not mandatory for appointment of independent director, then private company minimum 2 directors. Then in those situation, the CSR committee can be formed with the 2 directors only, 2 or more directors, without independent director. If there is no need of independent director, so it is not mandatory. This is what the applicability. And at the same time, here it is said that CSR committee formation. Further, we will come to see there is a relaxation for formation of CSR committee. If the liability spending amount is less than 50 lakh rupee, then there is no mandatory requirement of forming of CSR committee. That we will discuss. Then we'll come to the subsection 2 of section 135. The board's report under subsection 3 of section 134 shall disclose the composition of CSR committee, corporate social responsibility committee. So what it says is, the board's report shall disclose the details of the composition of the CSR committee. Subsection 3 says, the CSR committee shall formulate and recommend to the board. So duties of the CSR committee, it is explaining. So the CSR committee shall recommend to the board corporate social responsibility policy. So this committee prepared a CSR policy which shall indicate the activities, CSR activities to be taken, so to be undertaken by the company. So those CSR activities shall be in the areas as specified in Schedule 7. In the Schedule 7, details of the CSR objectives are mentioned. So the duty of the CSR committee is to form a CSR policy with the objects it is mentioned in Schedule 7. And also recommend the amount, what would be the expenditure to be incurred in the activities, and also monitor the CSR policy of the company from time to time. These are the duties of the CSR committee. The board of every company referred in subsection 1 shall. So subsection 4 says the board of directors duties in terms of section 135. So after taking into account the recommendations made by the CSR committee, so once the CSR committee recommends the policy in line with the objectives and the amount to be undertaken, then the board of directors, the committee will recommend to the board, then board of directors will approve the CSR policy and disclose the contents of such policy in its report. So the board's report shall contain all the details of the policy and also place it in the company's website. If company has website, then it has to disclose in the company's, it has to place in the company's website. It has to disclose in the annual report and place in the company's website. This is the responsibility of the directors. Also ensures that the activities are included in CSR policy of the company are undertaken by the company. So this has to be undertaken by the company. So board of directors has to take care. If there is no mandatory formation of CSR committee, so entire thing will be taken care by the board of directors. Subsection 5 of section 135 says the board of every company referred in subsection 1 shall ensure that the company spends in every financial year how much amount has to be spent, at least 2% of the average net profit of the company. So the director's responsibility is that company has to spend at least 2% of the average net profits of the company made during 3 immediately preceding financial years. Whether the company has not completed period of 3-year financial year since incorporation, during that case, then immediately preceding financial years. The company recently incorporated and triggered the applicability of CSR is 5,500 crores, 1,000 crores and 5 CR profit. Then it is applicable, but 3 years are not completed after the incorporation. Then whatever the period is there, that average we have to take. We are in subsection 5. So this 2% of the average net profits of the company made during 3 immediately preceding financial year in pursuit of its CSR policy, provided that the company shall give preference to the spending. The preference shall be to the local area and areas around it where it operates. This is a preference for spending the amount earmarked for corporate social responsibility activities. Provided further that if the company fails in spending such amount, the board shall, in its report made under class O of subsection 3 of section 134, specify the reasons for not spending the amount. So board of directors in their report shall specify the reason for not spending that amount, and unless the unspent amount related to any ongoing project referred into subsection 6 transfers such unspent amount to a fund specified in Schedule 7 within a period of 6 months of expiry of financial year. This is, suppose the company has not spent that amount, then within 6 months, the company has to transfer that amount to the account mentioned specified in Schedule 7. If it is an ongoing project, then the amount has to be transferred in separate bank account. That we are going to discuss in next subsection. Provided also that the company spends an amount of excess amount. Suppose the excess amount spent. So this can be set off in subsequent year. For net profit, the calculation has to, as per section 198. So the net profit has to be calculated as per the section 198. It says additions, deletions. So the net profits has to be calculated as per section 198 of the Companies Act 2013. Subsection 6 of 135 says any amount remaining unspent pursuant to any ongoing project, fulfilling such conditions as may be prescribed undertaken by a company in pursuance of CS or policy shall be transferred by a company within a period of 30 days from the end of the financial year. So what it says is, suppose any ongoing project is there, so the amount has to be transferred within 30 days from the end of the financial year to a special account to be opened by the company in that behalf for that financial year. Every year for ongoing project, if any new ongoing project comes, that amount has to be transferred into separate bank account. This has to be spent within 3 years because the separate account is open, transfer that amount, unspent amount. This is for the purpose of ongoing project. That ongoing project, you have to spend that amount within a period of 3 years. Suppose if 3 years, within a period of 3 years also not spent, then immediately it has to be transferred to, the company has to transfer to the specified account as mentioned in Schedule 7. This is what this subsection says. So, such amounts shall be spent by the company in pursuance of the obligations towards the corporate social responsibility within a period of 3 financial year, because this is for separate ongoing project. From the date of such transfer, failing which the company shall transfer the same funds specified in Schedule 7 within a period of 30 days from the date of completion of third financial year. If it is not spent even in 3 years, then it has to be transferred to the fund specified in, account specified in Schedule 7. Within 30 days, the amount has to be transferred. Subsection 7 of 135 says, if company is in default, company has not done any of these things. It has not spent CSR and it has defaulted these provisions. Then the penalty is 2 times of the obligation or 1 crore, whichever is less. Company has to pay that. This is the penalty to the company, and the company is in default shall be liable to penalty, and every officer of the company and every officer is also liable, and every officer of the company is in default shall be liable the penalty of 1/10 of the amount required to be transferred by the company to such specified in Schedule 7 account or unspent corporate social responsibility account as the case may be, or through that whichever is less. So the liability of company, the penalty on the company is 2 times of the liability or 1 crore, whichever is less, and every officer of the company is liable 1/10 of this penalty or 2 lakh, whichever is less. So company is liable and every officer in default also liable. This is what subsection says. For example, suppose company has to spend 20 lakh under CSR. It is defaulted. Then 2 into 20 lakh, that is 40 lakh. That is the penalty. Or 1 crore, whichever is less. So 40 lakh is the penalty. Obviously, this is less. And 1/10 of this 40 lakh, every officer of the company also liable. 1/10 of this 40 lakh or 2 lakh, whichever is less. This is what section says. Subsection 7 of 135 says. And 135 subsection 8 says that central government may give such general or special directions to company or class of companies if necessary. Okay. And subsection 9, if the company, the amount to be spent does not exceed 50 lakh rupees, the requirement of constitution of CSR committee shall not be applicable. Then the board of directors will take care of all the obligations. This is what section 135 of Companies Act 2013 in detail. Each subsection we have explained. There are exceptions, modifications, adaptations that are specified IFSC public company and IFSC private company. For them, exceptions, modifications, adaptations are given. There is no exception for even Section 8 company. Section 8 company also liable to spend this CSR applicability will be there even for Section 8 company also. Even for private companies, no exemption. This is what Section 135 of Companies Act 2013, Corporate Social Responsibility. Thank you. In next video, we will see the rules, CSR rules. Thank you. We have two channels, RR Corporates and other channel, RR Legal Talks. Please do subscribe so that you will not miss any of the latest updates on corporate laws, on insolvency laws, on public issues. Please do subscribe RR Corporates and RR Legal Talks. Thank you.